Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today, something most people don't understand about men. When a man starts keeping a little distance, when he becomes quiet, when his presence turns into silence, most women think something is wrong. They think he's slipping away, losing interest, or looking somewhere else. But listen to me carefully, because I'm about to break this whole thing down in a way that finally makes sense to you. Sometimes a man's distance does not mean he's fading out. Sometimes it means he wants you even more. Distance often means a man is processing his emotions, not losing interest. When a man starts to pull away, most people think it's a sign the connection is dying. But what many don't understand is that men have a different way of handling deep emotions. Their instinct isn't always to move closer when feelings intensify. Sometimes the pressure of those emotions becomes so overwhelming that stepping back feels like the safest way to deal with what's happening inside them. A man might like you more than he expected, and instead of getting excited like you might, his mind goes into overdrive. He starts thinking about what this connection means, what you expect from him, what kind of responsibility or commitment might come with these feelings. That kind of thinking can overload him emotionally, and the only way he knows to handle it is by creating distance. When he steps back, it isn't because his interest is fading. It's usually because he's trying to understand how to move forward without making mistakes. Men often feel pressure to be strong, stable, and controlled. So when they start developing feelings that shake that sense of control, they panic a little. It's not that he doesn't want you. It's that he doesn't want to mess things up or reveal emotions he isn't ready to express. His distance becomes a shield while he figures out what he truly wants and how deeply he feels it. He might question himself, wondering if he can offer what he thinks you deserve. He might replay past mistakes in his mind, comparing his old patterns to the new connection he feels growing with you. Distance becomes a thinking space, a place where he can breathe, reset, and process everything that's suddenly hitting him at once. Many times, men grow up learning to deal with emotions privately. They're taught that vulnerability is weakness, so when deep feelings show up, they don't openly talk about them the way some women do. Instead, they retreat, not to disappear, but to analyze, understand, and stabilize. When he steps away, he gives himself the room to feel without the pressure of reacting. In that space, he can examine his emotions without fear of judgment or misunderstanding. He might check how much he misses you, how often he thinks about you, and how strong the pull toward you actually is. All of that reflection takes place in silence, not because he wants distance from you, because he wants clarity inside himself. Even though it feels like he's slipping away, his distance usually means he cares more than he expected to. If he didn't care, he wouldn't need space. He wouldn't feel overwhelmed. He wouldn't feel anything strong enough to cause this emotional reaction. Distance is the mind's way of protecting the heart while it navigates something meaningful. When a man is processing his emotions, his quiet moments become emotional checkpoints. He's not disconnecting, he's grounding himself. And when he cares deeply, this period of distance becomes the bridge between confusion and commitment. Men pull back to regain control when feelings deepen. This is one of the most misunderstood truths about how men love, think, and emotionally navigate relationships. When a man begins to feel something powerful, something that shakes his usual routine or challenges his emotional stability, he doesn't always lean in the way you might expect. Instead, his instinct often pushes him to create space. That space isn't rejection, it's recalibration. It's the way he attempts to restore emotional control when his heart starts moving faster than his mind. Deep feelings can feel like losing balance, and for a man who is used to being logical calm, or in charge of his own world. That sudden emotional wave can be intimidating. Pulling back becomes his way of building a steady foundation beneath him again. Most men aren't taught how to handle emotions that rise quickly. They're taught to be strong, steady, and rational. Deep emotions don't follow rational rules. When he starts caring deeply, his thoughts get louder. He might question whether he's ready, whether he's capable, or whether he can protect what he's starting to value. That fear doesn't come because he doesn't want the connection. It comes because he wants it so much he's suddenly afraid to mishandle it. Stepping back allows him to slow down the intensity so he can think clearly about what's happening. It helps him check his heart before he takes bigger steps. Instead of being swept away by emotion, he wants to feel grounded, strong, and prepared. When a man feels emotionally overwhelmed, even in a positive way, he might fear losing control over his own reactions. Maybe he notices he's becoming more attached. Maybe he's thinking about you more often than he expected. Maybe he's realizing he enjoys your presence so much that the idea of losing you feels scary. These kinds of emotions create pressure, and instead of expressing that pressure openly, many men retreat briefly to regain command over themselves. That temporary retreat becomes a signal that his feelings are real, not superficial. If the feelings were shallow, they wouldn't shake him. They wouldn't push him into self-evaluation. They wouldn't make him pause. Pulling back also gives him a chance to evaluate what kind of man he wants to be in this connection. He might ask himself whether he can meet your expectations, whether he can offer emotional stability, and whether he's ready to step into something meaningful. Deep feelings force him to confront these questions, even if he never speaks them out loud. As he processes these emotions, he watches his own reactions. He checks how much he thinks about you, how strongly he misses you, how deeply the connection affects him. Men often need alone time to interpret their own hearts because emotional intensity feels unfamiliar. He's not trying to distance himself from you. He's trying to center himself within his own emotions so he can move toward you with clarity instead of confusion. When he pulls back, it allows him to rebuild his emotional balance so that when he steps forward again, he can do it confidently. His distance isn't the absence of interest, it's the evidence of emotions that became too powerful too quickly. His silence is his way of checking if the connection is real. When a man falls into moments of quiet, it often confuses the woman on the other side of that silence. She may assume he's bored, losing interest, or drifting away, but what's really happening inside him is far more complex. Silence becomes a space where his heart and mind communicate in ways he can't always express out loud. It's not always avoidance. Sometimes it's assessment. He uses silence the way some people use reflection. It's his way of stepping back from the noise of constant communication to understand what he truly feels without being influenced by the moment. Many men struggle to understand their own emotions when they're wrapped up in the excitement of a connection. The conversations, the laughter, chemistry, all of it is beautiful, but it also creates emotional stimulation that can cloud clarity. When everything feels too good, too intense, too easy, he might slip into silence because he wants to know if what he's feeling is real or just temporary excitement. Silence becomes the pause where he checks the depth of his own emotions. He wants to see if he still thinks about you even when he isn't talking to you. He wants to know if your presence lingers in his thoughts when the conversation stops. This is how he tests the authenticity of his feelings. Silence also shows him how strong the connection is without constant interaction. If he feels your absence, if he misses your energy, if he finds himself wanting to hear your voice again, then he knows the bond is real. Men often discover their deepest feelings not in the moments you're together, but in the moments you're apart. The quiet reveals what noise can hide. It's in that quiet space that he pays attention to the emotional pull he feels toward you. When the world stops moving so fast, when the chats aren't flowing every minute, he finally hears the truth of his own desire. And if the desire stays, that's when he knows the connection is something more than surface level. Sometimes his silence is also a way of seeing how you respond. Not as a game, as an emotional observation. He wants to know if you panic, chase, or pressure him when he goes quiet. Your reaction tells him a lot about the kind of connection you're building. If you respect his silence, if you stay calm and grounded, he learns that the bond between you isn't based on insecurity, but on emotional maturity. That kind of stability makes him trust the connection even more. Men aren't always verbal explorers of their own emotions. They don't pick apart their feelings with long conversations the way some women can. Instead, they retreat into silence because that's where they feel safest exploring the weight of their own hearts. Silence becomes the space where he realizes what he truly wants. It's not about disappearing, it's about discovering. And when he breaks that silence and comes back with more clarity, it's because he found something real in the quiet. He found you. Men value what they fear losing, so they step back to see your worth. When a man starts to care deeply, something shifts inside him. It isn't just attraction anymore, and it isn't just curiosity. It becomes emotional investment, and with that investment comes fear. Fear of losing someone who suddenly matters more than he expected. That fear doesn't always show up as effort or affection. Sometimes it shows up as distance. He steps back not because he wants to leave, because he wants to understand just how much this connection means to him and whether it's worth risking vulnerability. Men aren't always comfortable admitting they're scared, but internally they're wrestling with the possibility of losing something rare. When a man recognizes your value, it shakes him. He starts thinking about the kind of woman you are: strong, graceful, loyal, understanding, and he realizes that losing someone like you would hurt in a way he's not prepared for. Men fear emotional heartbreak more deeply than they admit. And because many of them don't know how to talk about that fear, they retreat into silence and space. The distance becomes a buffer, giving him time to understand what he's feeling without the pressure of expressing everything immediately. He wants to evaluate the connection from a place of clarity, not panic. When a man steps back, he's not trying to punish you or create confusion. He's stepping into a quiet place where he can measure the depth of his attachment. In that space, he starts noticing things he didn't see clearly before. He pays attention to how much he misses your energy, how much he thinks about the way you made him feel, and how much he enjoyed being understood by you. He begins to compare your presence to the silence he created, and that contrast tells him everything he needs to know. Men don't fall in love from constant closeness. They fall in love from the ache of missing someone who made their days brighter. Distance becomes the mirror that reflects your value back to him. When he steps away, he allows the connection to breathe, and in that breathing space, he realizes how deeply you've settled into his heart. Another reason he steps back is because men often measure the strength of a connection by observing how it survives a little space. He wonders if your energy still feels important when he's alone. He wonders if the connection still feels alive without constant communication. Men don't test women intentionally, but they do test their own feelings. If he finds that thoughts of you follow him into the quiet moments of his day, if he notices that nothing feels quite right without you, then he understands your worth on a deeper level. That realization is powerful because it doesn't come from pressure. It comes from his own emotional awakening. Many men don't know they've met someone special until they spend a moment without her. It's in that small distance that his appreciation grows. He steps back not to disconnect, but to recognize the value of the woman he doesn't want to lose. A man's distance is emotional preparation, not avoidance. When a man starts to feel something powerful, something that reaches into parts of him he has kept guarded for years, he doesn't always react with instant openness. Instead, his instinct often leads him into a quieter space where he can prepare himself emotionally. This preparation isn't visible from the outside. To someone watching, it can look like he's pulling away, losing interest, or avoiding the connection. Internally, something very different is happening. He is getting himself ready for feelings that matter, feelings that require maturity, intention, and emotional clarity. Men are not always raised to understand or express their emotions easily. They are taught to be strong, steady, and unshakable, and because of that, vulnerability feels unfamiliar. When a woman touches his heart deeply, that unfamiliarity sends him into a period of adjustment. He needs time to understand what he's feeling, why he's feeling it, and where those feelings might lead. Distance becomes the space in which he prepares himself to show up in a way that doesn't disappoint you. He is not running away. He is strengthening himself from the inside so that when he comes forward, he does it with purpose instead of confusion. During this emotional preparation, he starts evaluating his own readiness. He thinks about his past, his mistakes, his fears, and the things that held him back before. He doesn't want to repeat old patterns or hurt someone who suddenly means something real to him. He considers what type of partner he wants to be, what type of relationship he wants to build, and whether he can offer consistency, loyalty, and emotional presence. These aren't conversations he has out loud, but they are very real conversations he has with himself. The distance provides the quiet needed for that internal dialogue. A man also uses this time to stabilize the emotions swirling inside him. When feelings grow fast, they can create pressure, excitement, and fear all at once. He doesn't want to act impulsively or let emotions control him. He wants to act with clarity. Emotional preparation allows him to settle the storm and think with both his heart and his mind. He wants to ensure that when he steps towards you, he does it because he genuinely chooses you, not because he got caught up in a moment of intensity. This makes his actions more meaningful and his intentions more grounded. In that space, he also observes how the connection feels without constant communication. He checks his own heart by noticing the quiet pull he feels toward you. He notices how much he misses your voice, how much he craves your presence, and how incomplete things feel without your energy. These feelings help him solidify his decision. The distance doesn't weaken the connection, it strengthens his clarity. He needs emotional preparation to show up as a man who is ready, steady, and capable of building something real. Many women assume distance means disinterest, but for many men, distance is the period of transformation where they align their emotions, pair their heart, and get ready to love with intention instead of hesitation. When a man returns after space, he comes back stronger and more committed. That temporary distance he created wasn't meant to weaken the connection, it was meant to strengthen his understanding of it. Men often step away when emotions start growing faster than they can process. The important part is what happens during that time apart. In the quiet, in the stillness, in the moments when he doesn't have your voice or presence guiding him, he begins to realize what truly matters to him. Instead of the distance pushing him away, it pulls him toward clarity. And that clarity is what brings him back with more intention than before. During that space, he starts to feel the impact of your absence. He notices how different his days feel without your energy, how conversations elsewhere can't replace the warmth of yours, how nothing quite hits the same without you in it. These little realizations